and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Marcie and today I'm joined by my best friend, Megan. Megan's on my Instagram a lot. Yeah, I'm always like tagging you and stuff. But we thought we would sit down today because we've both, I've talked about my kind of journey, I guess, with anxiety, and I know that you've struggled with anxiety and depression and eating disorder as well. And Megan, well, we both thought it would be a really good idea to talk about it, and I'm really lucky that you want to talk about it and be open, because we both said that if it can help at least one person, then that's the main thing. And I think a lot of the time people think that they're the only one experiencing the feelings, and it can be a really lonely experience, but you're not the only person. But we're also going to talk about like different coping mechanisms that we found, and also how anxiety manifests in us, because I think there's some similarities, but I also think that there is differences as well. Like anxiety can literally make you like just different things to you. It makes me crazy.
It makes me loopy. Like,
but we're always loopy.
Yeah,
it makes us more loopy.
We're mad.
So something we've both said is that we've struggled a lot more in lockdown. Have you struggled since like the start of lockdown, or have you found that the more that we've been in lockdown, it's gotten worse? Or has it got better?
It's kind of like gone up and down a bit. So at the beginning I thought I was absolutely fine. I was like, great, I get to sit at home, do nothing, like, and just chill. And then the more it went on, and the more I couldn't see my family or my sister, and like just not being around anyone except my boyfriend, I was kind of like having like daily panic attacks and not noticing, because I just it became like a norm for me. Like, it just became so normal to feel like,
to not feel okay, to feel anxious and like on edge. And it's different. So Megan has been working the whole time we've been in lockdown. I obviously haven't been working, so I think like even coming at it from those two different points of view and like situations, it's very different, because I found for me, going from teaching and working to literally stopping everything was the hardest thing. And at first I was like, no, it's great, like it will be like I'm back in school again, like a 6-week summer holiday,
get some time off.
But then reality sets in, and it's like, well, I can't go anywhere, I can't do anything. I also don't have money because I never got like any help from the government because I'm self-employed, which sucks. So I've been like a little poor egg over here, but it's okay. But I feel like, like I literally couldn't do anything. And I know obviously there's bigger things going on in the world, and we're very lucky that we were able to be at home and be in that position to be safe, and I'm grateful for that. But I definitely felt, I guess, cabin fever. And that really like set in with anxiety for me. And I feel like I felt quite depressed over lockdown.
Trapped as well. Like,
literally. I completely trapped in my surroundings, but also trapped with how I was feeling, if that makes sense. Whereas you've had to completely adjust from working on site to working at home, and Adam's working at home with you. Like that can't have been easy to adjust.
Like that is, I think that's been the biggest adjustment for me. And even before that, like, me and Adam had only moved in together like 2 weeks before lockdown.
I remember that. Like,
so
oh my god, you
I've gone from like being in my own house by myself and seeing my boyfriend like 3 or 4 times a week, to suddenly living together for 2 weeks, getting used to living with each other,
which is intense anyway, very intense anyway. And then it was like, oh my god,
like we're literally trapped together, like there is no way out. Like,
I mean, do you feel like you know everything about Adam now?
I feel like I know too much about Adam. When you lived with someone anyway, like you do tend to learn a lot about them. Like, I mean, there are some things you don't want to know and that you learn anyway.
You don't want to know, but like you're forced to find out.
But yeah, it was like I'd gone from like being like independent to suddenly not.
You are still independent, but it's, you have to think of like, whereas before, if you were like at home or whatever, you would think of yourself, if that makes sense. And then now you're living with Adam, it's like you have to think of him too.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think the biggest thing came into it is when we both found out we'd have to be working from home. So our spare room is like tiny, it's a box, and we've somehow managed to get 2 desks in there.
Yeah, that's good.
And we're both like back to back and constantly like getting on top of each other with meetings and clashes, and it's just been, it's been nice having him there for when I do have bad days, but there are some times that I'm just like, I do need 5 minutes where I can just breathe and just be by myself.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's been like the biggest adjustment for me.
Yeah.
Is not having that 5 minutes where I can both like back off from each other.
Yeah, I feel like that if you can get through lockdown, you can get through anything.
Yeah. Like, he's stuck with me now. Like, there is no getting hold of it.
Sorry, Adam.
I'm
you're
sorry,
stuck. Which means you're also stuck with me coming round. Shall we like go back to when we were younger? Because I know you struggled a lot with that at school as well, didn't you? But I don't know if you feel the same. I feel like we both, like me and Megan have been friends for like, how long? Years and years and years.
What was it, year 7?
Year
How long
7.
ago was year 7?
How old am I? 23.
23, I'm 24. 13 years ago, I want to
Isn't
say?
there a thing they say when you've been friends with someone for 7 years or more, they're no longer friends, they're family?
Yes.
I feel like that's so true.
It is the biggest truth.
Like, I literally see you as family.
Yeah.
I love it. We've known each other for years and years and years, and I think we like literally, I think when we met we were like, we just knew we were gonna be friends.
Yeah, we just clicked like that. Like,
but I don't know that I ever really knew to the extent that you suffered with like mental health and how, and I don't know if it's the same with you, like, but I feel like it's only now really, and like the last couple of years, that it has been quite an open conversation for most people, because I think even when we were, well, I think even at that young age, at, how old are you when you go into year 7, like 11?
11?
I think it's 11.
I think it's 11.
I think it is, like something like that, 10 or 11. I think you're still trying to work out your own mind.
Yeah.
So I think like when you feel like that, and I don't know like what age and stuff like you started to feel it, but I think, yeah, it's scary to talk about. So I don't think we really ever had this sort of chat until we were quite a bit older.
Yeah.
And I wish that we'd had this chat when we were younger.
I wish we had this chat when we was like 13, 14.
Yeah.
Because even then I feel like it's a completely different conversation to what we're having now.
Totally, yeah.
Like,
and I think we'd have felt less alone. But saying that, do you want to like say a bit about like what you struggled with? And
I've never been able to pinpoint exactly when it started. Like, I say that I had to go to some low self-esteem classes in like year 8.
Did you?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
School made me go to low self-esteem classes because they thought I had low self-esteem. Turned out it's because I was being bullied, and
schools are great.
Yeah. I was being bullied and I was being punished, and had to sit in a classroom and draw a circle and had to write in there what I thought made me beautiful. Which I think is such a bad way to...
It's not getting to the root of the problem. It's just saying, let's see if we can cover it up. Like, rather than... It's like if you've got a splinter and then...
stick a plaster over it.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I don't know how I'm going to explain this, but if you've got a splinter and you just leave it in there and then keep putting a plaster over the top, it's not doing anything, because you're not getting the splinter out.
You just make it worse. Like,
well, yeah, you're just putting a bandage over it. It's not going anywhere.
I can't remember.
You had to go to like low self-esteem classes at school. That was year 8, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, do you think like, so that didn't help?
No. It just made me feel worse.
Yeah. It makes you feel like there's an issue, or like you've got an issue.
Yeah.
Which, like, yes, like, we do have issues.
Don't get me wrong, I had low self-esteem and I had anxiety. I just didn't know it at the time. So I just thought, oh, hang on a minute. There is something wrong with me and that's not normal.
Yeah. And then I felt, because I was bullied too, and I felt like because of how I was the reason that people were being nasty.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like, I thought I was the problem, but you're not the problem. Like, they're the people that have the issue or the problem.
Yeah.
Because they're treating you like that. But I think it makes you feel like there's something wrong with me. And like, that's how I felt. And then did it just like get worse for you, or?
Yeah, like, so I was bullied like all throughout school, and then it it got slowly better going into like year 10 and year 11, but then take that part away, you've then got in the stress of like exams and college and not knowing what you want to do.
And there's so much pressure, isn't there?
Like, it's so much unnecessary pressure to put on like a 14-year-old and be like, well, you've got to do this and you've got to choose your exams. And I remember I didn't like one of my choices at GCSE, and in the November of year 11, it's like 6 months before we were due to leave school, I was like, I don't want to do this, I want to switch courses. So in the space of 6 months, I had to do 2 years worth of media.
But you did catch it up.
And I managed to get a B.
She's not smart.
I'm not that smart, I promise you. But I managed to get a B.
But that's amazing that you were able to catch up with that for, like, in 6 months.
And that was all thanks to our English teacher.
Yeah, but he was the best. I think, yeah, there's a lot of pressure that gets put on you anyway in year 10 and year 9, because that's when they start talking to you about GCSEs.
Yeah, you start doing like mock GCSEs in year 9.
So, well, year 10, year 11. So yeah, there's a lot of pressure. Did bullying for you get worse or better, or like what was like that? Because I think that played a big part in for both of us, how we both felt, and I think that was a massive trigger for both of us. Yeah.
Like, I don't know what it was like for you, but for me, like, the bullying kind of peaked in, like, year 8, year 9.
Yeah.
Like, I think year 9 was, like, the worst year. Like, just everything was just going to pot, and it was just going downhill. And then year 10 comes around, and it's like, there's, like, next to no bullying. And I was kind of shocked. I was like...
It's like you've learned to survive with it.
Yeah, I don't know if it stopped, or I was just so used to it at this point that I just kind of...
Which is a shame.
Yeah.
Like, it shouldn't be like that.
No child should ever have to go and be scared to go to school and like fake headaches and stuff to get time off. Because I remember to my mum, I was always saying to my parents, like, I don't feel well, I don't want to go into school.
Did your mum know? Your parents know? No.
My sister knew, because obviously she went to school with us. Yeah. So I think my sister saw it a few times, like in corridors and stuff. But I don't think any of them realised the extent it was going on. Yeah, like, you knew for the most part what was happening. Yeah. But I still think, like, it caused it to the point where I was having to hide how I was actually feeling. Like, I would walk around like all smiley and feel like look absolutely fine, but on the inside I was like,
you're crumbling.
I'm really not okay.
Yeah.
But I didn't understand that that's what anxiety was at the time. I just thought that everyone felt like that.
So how did it make you feel? Because I think for the most part, anxiety manifests in similar ways in people, but I also think it can manifest completely differently. Yeah. So like when you know that you're gonna have like an anxiety attack, or when you're feeling anxious, like how does that make you feel?
So like, it's got to the point now, and this is gonna sound really bad and weird, but it's got to the point now where I don't notice it, and Adam tends to notice it's happening before I do.
That's really interesting.
Like, I do this thing where I kind of like dig my nails into my palm like that. I do that,
but I like make a fist. If I'm like feeling really anxious or panicky, I will make really tight fists. I don't know why.
I don't know why. I don't know if it's because it kind of like helps me bring me back into the room and I can feel myself. But I will literally sit and do that, and I won't realise I'm doing it. And Adam will be sat next to me and be like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." He's like, "But I can see you're not." And that's when I kind of realised that, yeah, my heart is like pounding a million times a minute. And I just can't breathe, and I'm shaky, and my hands are clammy.
Yes, my hands get so clammy.
Like, they're clammy now, but I think it's because it's so hot.
It's just boiling in here.
I'm not having a panic attack. I'm fine. But yeah, it's just, like, before, when I was noticing them, I would get like really heavy breathing and felt like I was trapped, and the walls were caving in, and I just couldn't breathe. But now it's like, I don't know if it's because I'm so used to it, or because there's like really small signs that I don't notice. But 9 times out of 10, Adam will notice it for me.
I think it's really nice that you have the support of Adam, and like he can notice it. Yeah. I get really clammy hands, and I feel really hot. Sometimes I feel sick. But most of the time, like, I just am emotional. I cry. I just cry a lot anyway. Like, yeah, I mean, I'm just I think we're both emotional people.
I'm a very emotional person. Like, I was crying at Hamilton the other day. Like, go figure. And I was crying 3 hours after Hamilton because Hamilton had finished. Like,
just watch it again.
I was going to, but it was 2 in the morning.
Oh, okay. But yeah, like, I feel like sometimes I feel like I have so much going on in my head and so many thoughts and emotions, and I can't like process it, so I just cry because I don't know how else to,
it's kind of like
release it.
Yes, it's like a release to get it all out.
And I do find crying is therapeutic because it does let all of that kind of tension and that build up go. Yeah. But also then afterwards I have a banging headache.
Oh, you get that as well, like really horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. And you feel exhausted. Like I find after having like panic attacks as well, I'm just so tired and I need to sleep. And for ages I thought there was something wrong with me from that, but I've done like quite a lot of research on it. I shared something on Instagram last night actually, and it was about how your body literally gets prepared to fight or flight. Yeah. And literally adrenaline is like pumped into your body, and then once your body thinks it's out of the danger, you just like your levels drop. So you're just exhausted, and it's like okay to feel like that, and it's okay to take some time to like rest after that as well. But I also find mainly with depression, I just want to sleep. Like I have no energy. Yeah. And I felt like that a lot over lockdown. I've wanted to sleep, but it's like I can't sleep. No. It's a vicious cycle.
I feel like I can't sleep at night, and this was especially true like all throughout April and beginning of May, where my depression did hit like a low, and there would just be days where I would just take the day out, like I just couldn't drag myself out of bed, and I'd have to literally grab my laptop and lay in bed and work because I couldn't even have the energy to step outside the bedroom.
And I think people that don't or haven't suffered with it or felt like that before can look at that situation and like assume that you're choosing to be like that, or you're being lazy or whatever. But it is like, it's a full body experience, isn't it? Like, it's obviously your mental health, but it affects every single aspect of you, like your like physical and mental.
It does, like
everything is just exhausted. And yeah, I felt like that quite a lot in school actually. Yeah. For me, bullying started right back in primary school, and I'd say it was at its worst in primary school. It got better in secondary school, but it still wasn't great. Yeah. And then in college it hit me again really hard, and like bullying was really difficult, and I think that's where my anxiety was at its worst. And then I carried that through to uni as well. And it is like I felt like I was just like on a hamster wheel. Like I was constantly trying to catch up with how I was feeling and my emotions and process and everything, because I don't think really there is a lot of support in school.
No, there's not. And like I tend to find, like, I don't know if this, I was just asked school if it's any better now, but like I understand that the pastoral support had like thousands of kids to look after, but as soon as you said to them like, oh, I'm being bullied, they were just like,
they didn't really want to know.
No, they kind of like brushed it to the side, like, oh, here's a class you can go to and here's some like activities you can do, and it's just like, well, that's not the issue.
I found that in school they took the approach of like, kids will be kids. Yeah. And like kids can be cruel.
And if they don't see it, it's not happening.
Yeah. But I feel like even if they do see it or did see it, I'm not sure that they necessarily would have the acted upon it, or known how to. I don't know if that's like lack of training or whatever, whether they have a lack of support themselves or lack of understanding or training on it. But I think school can be a really pivotal like point for you growing up. That's where you spend most of your time. Yeah. And I think like that definitely for both of us was like a massive effect on how we were feeling with anxiety and with depression. So shall we talk about different coping mechanisms that we found over the years?
So I genuinely find it, that obviously these aren't going to work for everyone, like everyone kind of finds their own way to deal with it, but for me sometimes it is just laying down in bed and putting your favourite film on and just like grabbing some rubbish food and just wrapping yourself up and just telling yourself like it's okay to be feeling like this. Like it's not, I wouldn't say it's normal, but
how you're feeling is valid.
Like exactly.
I'd say the exact same. Like over the years when I was younger dealing with it, I kind of didn't really want to acknowledge the feeling. No. Because I didn't like the feeling. It's not that I like it now, but I hate it.
I know how to deal with it now, and I know what it is now. Yeah,
and I find like as I've gotten older, I've kind of given myself permission to feel what I need to feel, and that it's okay to feel how I'm feeling, it's valid. And I also found, like, I still get it now, people tell me I'm like too emotional. Yeah. And like I think that can be quite damaging, because in school I either felt like I wasn't enough or I was too emotional. Yeah. And it's really hard because then you're like, well, like what's wrong with me? But I actually think it's a really beautiful and really strong thing to be able to feel your emotions and to allow yourself to be in that vulnerable space. I think that takes a lot of strength and a lot of courage. So yeah, I'm still learning how to like sit with what I'm feeling and just process it and feel it, and I found that journaling helps.
Yes, so that's actually one thing I was going to say to you. Like something I do is something called like a brain dump. Well, literally, like sometimes I draw a circle, sometimes I actually draw a wheelie bin. Like it depends. I love that. It depends how artistic I'm feeling. But I will literally just draw that, and then in that circle or in the bin I'll put everything that's in my head down onto paper. Yeah. And it helps so much to be able to sit there and see exactly what is going on in your head. Yeah. And just think, well, hang on a minute, like that's not actually that big a deal. Like it's easier to see it written down and think, well, hang on a minute, you dropped your pen for the 5th time today. That's fine. Yeah. Like it's okay. Like it just helps to be able to visualise it rather than having like 20 thoughts running around your mind. Yeah. I agree. I find writing it down, it just releases it from your mind. It's still there and you still feel anxious about it, but you also feel like a bit of a sigh of relief because you've got it out of your mind and you can visually see it. Yeah. And I do agree. I think visually seeing it helps a lot. Yeah. Because then you can also, like what I used to do was I would write down whatever I was feeling and then I would write a solution. And if I could have a solution or I could change that, then I would act upon that. But if there was nothing I could do about it, then I had to try and let that go. And I think that's the hardest part, is trying to let it go. And I don't know about you, but even now, I'll lay in bed at night and I'll think of something that happened like 10 years ago. Yeah. And it will make me really anxious. And then I will like start experiencing like anxiety attacks, or I'll have a panic attack. But it happened like 10 years ago. Yeah, and there is like literally nothing that I could do now that would change that situation. Yeah. Like, so what if I messed up my English presentation? It was 10 years ago, and yet I'm still sometimes led there like, maybe I should email school and ask if I can do it again. Can I redo my GCSE? Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, you can't change it, and it's so easy to say like, there is no point dwelling on it, but sometimes you just can't help it. Yeah. Do you find when people say to you like, oh, just don't worry about it? Do you find that annoying? Yeah. Yeah. Like it really bugs me. Like there are so many things you can do to help someone that is having a panic attack. But if you say to someone, just chill, or don't worry about it. Why are you getting so worked up? You're fine. I don't understand like why you're like this. It's kind of like, well, it's not helpful. No. It is really not helpful. Just say to me, that's okay, just take 5 minutes, like you are okay. Yeah. Do you know the best thing that like I think someone can say is like you're okay, how you feel is valid, but also I'm here for you. Is there anything that you need or want me to do? Yeah. And I just think knowing that you have that support is really helpful. It's like, even if there is, because a lot of the time I find that if I'm having an anxiety attack or a panic attack, there's nothing anyone else can do. No. I have to kind of almost ride the wave.
but having someone say to you like, look, I'm here, and if there's anything that you want me to do or I can do, let me know.
Yeah.
That is the most comforting thing, I think, rather than being like, why are you getting so worked up over it? Like, you're so emotional, you're so this, you're so that. Because that just, I think, adds fuel to the fire. Like, it just makes you feel worse, because then you're like, oh my god, like, what?
It is so,
yeah. I feel really lucky with my family that we've always been very open about, like, mental health. And so I always felt like I could go and talk to my family about it. But especially over lockdown, like, I feel like I've called you so many times, or I've been like, Megan, are you free? I feel like I'm about to have a panic attack, can you, like, and then you would ring me. And I feel like I've, like, lent on you a lot, especially over lockdown, and I'm like really, really, really grateful for that. You know how much I adore you. And I feel lucky that I have, like, that support network. But I do also think, like, obviously Adam experiences anxiety, but I think for partners and stuff that have never experienced that, I think it can be tough for them to understand, because in a way, like, you don't understand it yourself a lot of the time. It is just how you're feeling, and there's different triggers for everything. And I think that sometimes it's really hard for, like, your boyfriend or your girlfriend or whatever to understand that, or even sometimes family. If you haven't got a family that is open about stuff, they can be really confused as to why you feel like that. So sometimes I think, like, sitting down with, like, friends or family or your partner or whatever, and having that open conversation and saying, like, this is how I feel, this is kind of what triggers me, but this is ways that you can help if I need the help. I think that's really important. And it, like, sounds like Adam has just naturally picked up, like, for both of you, and I don't know if maybe that's because Adam's gone through it, or, like, is going through it and understands it himself on, like, a deeper level as well. But I think it's really important to, like, have that support network for sure. Absolutely. What else do you do to cope with it?
It's like, obviously, like, there are days where I just lay in bed and do nothing, because it does, you do feel worse for it at first,
but you need it. You do need it.
Your body needs to, like, recover from it. But as well, like, sometimes it's just talking about it to someone. Like, there are days where I'm just, like, I actually had one last night, and I said to you, like, I'm not feeling great, can I call you? And I just sat and talked about it, and then we just talked rubbish for another half hour after that.
We were on the phone for ages, but it was the best. But it helps, like, talking helps.
Like, sometimes not even talking about it itself, but just talking just rubbish, like, just stuff to take your mind off it. Like,
I think getting out of your own head, massively. I had therapy a couple of times, and it was a really lovely lady. Did therapy help you?
It did and it didn't. Like, it helped me to an extent, but I don't know if it was just because my therapist, she was lovely, but I just didn't feel comfortable enough with her to kind of let go and tell her everything. So for me, it wasn't massively helpful, but it helped me find some great techniques that I use to calm myself and talk myself through it.
That's good. I had 2 different experiences. So the first experience, I went through counselling through the doctors, and I did not find that helpful.
Mine was through the doctors.
Was it? I didn't find it helpful at all. I actually found it made me feel worse. So then I swore that I would never go back to counselling ever again. And then my mum works within children's services, or, like, young people, like, she works with teenagers and stuff. So she obviously knew, like, psychologists and therapists and everything. And I was really lucky because someone my mum worked with actually came round to my house, and we sat on the sofa with a cup of tea, and it was the most casual thing ever, and I was in my own space. And she was just like, okay, so just talk to me. And I just opened up. And I don't know if it was because I was at home. I don't know if it was because it was more of a casual chat rather than, like, I mean, when I went to counselling the first time, I was sat here and this lady was sat in front of me, and, like, with a notepad and stuff, like, asking me, like, questions that I just didn't think were relevant anyway.
This is I think this is the thing with therapy. Like, some people do find it really helpful.
It's different for everyone, isn't it? So different for everyone. Like, some people will go and take to it so well, but others
will find that they're not comfortable because like maybe because they weren't in their own space, or because like if yes, they're always gonna be strangers, but you've got to have the right person there.
Yeah.
Like, it is so important. Like, they may be the loveliest person in the world, but they may not be the right therapist for you.
Yeah, I think like, that's important.
Yeah.
I think just because one therapist doesn't work doesn't mean they're all not going to work.
Yeah.
So I think if you can be brave enough to try again, because essentially like that's what I did with the lady that came round, and that helped me so much. But I wanted to like say about, she taught me 2 things that I'm really grateful she taught me. And the first one was, when I'm feeling anxious or I'm in that kind of like thought process or cycle, to visualize a stop button in my head. She was like, make it a massive red button and then visualize yourself like actively pressing the stop button, because it takes you out of that anxious pattern. It breaks the cycle.
Yeah.
And you're doing something else with your thoughts. It doesn't like cure it, doesn't get rid of it, but for that moment it's taking you out of the cycle. And that break gives your mind and your body time to breathe. And that I found really beneficial. And she also taught me about safe spaces. I feel like we've spoken about this before.
Yeah, we have actually.
And because I would walk into certain situations and it would trigger a panic attack, like especially in like large groups of people.
Yeah.
So like in the atrium at school or like college or whatever, I couldn't walk into it because it would trigger a panic attack. And it was because my mind didn't connect that as a safe space. So I then actively tried to create safe spaces wherever I went. And like my room is always one that I like want to have. I mean, right now, I mean, we're on the floor. Well, kind of on the mattress on the floor, because I have no bed because we're moving. But like, I like to make sure that I have like candles and little things that make me feel cozy. And even when I travelled, I took fairy lights with me because I wanted to make sure that I could hang them up in my room, because it was little things like that that just made me feel a little bit more at ease.
Yeah.
So they're like 2 things that therapy definitely helped me with, and like I use a lot to cope with.
Yeah.
I call it like my little anxiety toolbox.
I need an anxiety toolbox.
I feel like everyone needs an anxiety toolbox. Because then you can just be like, what tool do I need today? Because it's different every day.
Yeah.
Like you said, some days you need to like literally lay in bed and do nothing. But then I also think some days you need to make yourself go and have a shower.
Yeah. Like there are some days where I feel anxious, but I'll be like, I want to go out and I want to go shopping and I want to go for a walk. And this is what I mean, like it manifests like so differently day to day. Like there are some days where I'm happy, but I'm still kind of feeling like my heart go a little bit like,
yeah.
And in my head I'm like, there's something wrong, something's gonna happen.
Yeah, totally. Like you feel on edge.
Yeah. Like
you're waiting for...
It's like I'm literally waiting for something to happen.
You're constantly taking a deep breath and you can't release it because you're like when's it gonna...
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's like, it is odd, don't get me wrong, it is so odd to have that thought in your head and you know that nothing's going to happen. You know that you're safe and you know that, you know, for the most part you are okay.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're kind of like, but it's not though.
But there's something.
Yeah, at the same time you're kind of like, is it? Like, am I okay?
Yeah, sometimes I'll say to like my family, I feel really anxious today, but I have no idea why. I have no reason for it.
No.
But I think on those days, that's when I know that I need to be extra, like, loving to myself.
Yeah, just be kind, like...
Yeah, and sometimes, like, for me, that will be going for a run and getting fresh air. And sometimes for me, that will be having a movie day. And I think it's okay that, like, any day can be different.
Yeah.
There's not one right way to help with anxiety or depression or anything like that. What I would say, did you ever go to the doctors about it? Oh yeah, of course, because if you went through counselling.
So I was actually on, and a disclaimer, don't ever do this without consulting your doctor, but I was on fluoxetine and I took myself off of them.
Oh.
And it worked for me, but I wouldn't ever recommend it, because I went from 20 milligrams a day that I'd taken for 5 years to nothing.
Wow.
So I've gone from like this whole kind of floating on clouds and feeling okay to then being like, whoa.
Yeah,
like this is how I actually am.
Yeah.
And like I said, it worked for me personally, but I wouldn't recommend it.
Normally they like slowly try and take you off, don't they?
They like take you down to like 15, then 10, and 5.
And then like take it once a day, and then or every other day or whatever. So you do you not take them anymore? No. So I still take them. I am also like on fluoxetine. I've only ever been on fluoxetine. I found that it really helps me. But I can't not take them. And I know like taking like medication for some people is like, don't do it, or like, I don't know, some people are like, it's quite a taboo subject, I think. Like people don't want to like say like, hey, I suffer with this and I take medication for it. But I do. I've been on them since I was about 13 years old. I've tried to come off them a few times, but I just have a massive dip, and for me that massive dip isn't worth not being on them. So I take them every day, and it helps a lot, but it doesn't get rid of it. No. Like I find that, like it's not just a case of, oh, just take a tablet and you're fine. I take the tablets, but I also have to do a lot of work and like inner healing. Because otherwise you're still just masking the problem. But it just keeps me kind of at the level that it's manageable. Right? It's more manageable for me at it. And like I'm not afraid or ashamed to say that I like still take them. And it's the same for you for like being on them. Like I think it's really brave to go, actually I think I need like a bit of help with it. But the same really, like the doctors normally try to slowly take you off them, don't they? But like I'm glad that worked for you.
It's okay, like it's okay to feel like that. Like you shouldn't have to be ashamed to say I'm on these tablets for this, because if you had a broken leg, and I always use this analogy, if you had a broken leg and you were trying to walk on it, you would make it worse. Like, but why can't the same be said for your mental health? Like, it's okay to take painkillers for a broken leg, and it's okay to take tablets to help with it. To help with your mental health.
I think mental health, I'm glad that it's become more openly spoken about, and the conversation is more open. But I think it still has a long way to go.
It has a massive way to go.
There's still aspects of it, like the whole tablets, like that people aren't comfortable with and almost feel ashamed to take them. But I think most people do. Like, there's so much pressure in the world and in society that, and we put that pressure on ourselves as well. So there's just all of this pressure. And you know, like social media can be a really negative place as well as like an amazingly positive place. But there's always these kind of outside pressures, and that's a lot. It's a lot to deal with, and it's okay to admit that that's a lot to deal with, and it's okay to go and get help or take tablets for however long, whether that's like a couple of years, or like me, since I was 13 years old and I'm now 23, so 10 years. I love how I was like, wow, maths, 10 years.
We were never strong at maths.
Like, no, maths was never. We were good at English, weren't we?
I tell you what, I was actually amazing at English, but maths.
Maths was hard.
Maths is no.
I don't really like numbers at all.
I tell you what, I absolutely despise numbers.
That is a strong statement.
Give me a fraction, and I would probably genuinely have a breakdown.
A lot of people think, even like with any mental health, that your journey is just going to be like plain sailing, but it's not. It's like literally.
Like, you'll have good days and you'll have bad days. Like, I had a really bad day yesterday, and today I'm having a really good day. And it's like, it's important to remember that there are so many people who are going through it that are hiding it. So just be kind.
I think that's the thing, like allowing people and putting it out there that if any of you are like struggling with it, like I speak like for both of us, like we're both here. And we never want anyone to feel alone. And it's so strong to share your story but to own it and say like, this is how I feel, or this is what I went through, and like that's okay, I'm fine with that, but I am constantly taking steps to help myself, but sometimes I might take 5 steps back. But as long as I keep going forwards, like with that mindset, Because I think mindset's a big thing as well.
Yeah, massively.
But yeah, like it is not easy, but I'm so glad that when we were in school we had each other.
Yeah.
But I wish that we would have had a conversation like this when we were younger, but I think it's hard when you're that age.
Yeah. And I think another thing as well, like parents who don't realise their kids are going through it, whether they're like 10 years old or 20 years old, like it's so important to speak to your kids and just make sure they're okay.
Yeah.
Like, because I wish I could be, like, I wish I could have been able to tell my parents, but that's because I was scared to. So even if you just ask the question, hey, is there anything going on?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
just open up that conversation.
Yeah, definitely. So that is I guess our journeys with mental health, and I hope that you can take something from this, if anything, just to know that you're not alone.
Yeah.
And that we're both here. I will link Megan's Instagram, so go and give her a follow, and I'm sure that you can always like talk to Megan as well.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah,
it's so important to remember, like, you're not alone.
Yeah, like, and there's no judgment at all.
No.
I
mean, you've heard us, like,
yeah.
There is no judgment here whatsoever.
Never. But yeah, you're never alone, and just be really kind to yourself. Maybe make your own little anxiety toolbox. Yeah. And put different things in there that will help you on days that you're not feeling 100%. But that's like, yeah, like having a chill day or seeing friends or what it is you need to do. But I hope you're all okay, and I hope you've all been dealing with lockdown okay, as well as you can. If you want us to do any more kind of chats like this, then let us know. I would love to have Megan back on the channel again.
I do like a little tea talks.
Yes. Yeah, that's what we're going to call it. I can't decide whether to call it tea talks or coffee talks.
Coffee tea talks?
We'll work on it.
Yeah, we'll find something.
Yeah, we will.
I'm sure.
But yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. Please like, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.